This poor pup was covered in so many flies, rescuers thought they'd arrived too late. But before we start, please take a moment to give this video a like, subscribe to Happy World, and hit the bell so you'll never miss these great stories. When rescuers arrived on the scene, the flies were already swarming all over the little puppy's body. Tragically, it looked like they'd arrived too late to save the dog from his suffering. But just when they thought their mission had failed, they noticed that the dog was still breathing. In June 2016, rescuers from Animal Aid Unlimited, AAU, severely tested their resolve. After all, the charity workers are used to seeing harrowing sights, but this must have been one of the most heart-wrenching. Still, the diligent employees of the organization work around the clock. Yes, they treat wounded animals in the charity's hospitals and provide stray creatures with homes or sanctuary, among other things. In fact, it was the former service that led the India-based branch of the AAU to this ailing animal. Sadly, no one can say how long the pitiful puppy had been failing in health, nor is it possible to say how many people saw and ignored him. However, he had evidently been disregarded for quite some time. Fortunately, though, not everyone walked on by. Yes, someone had seen the puppy and cared enough to take action. That Good Samaritan called Animal Aid Unlimited, which sent out an ambulance to the dog's location. The rescue team didn't need to worry about him running away, though, as this pup wasn't going anywhere. In fact, when rescuers arrived at the location, they found the poor pooch lifeless and prone under a car. In fact, with no one to care for him, the ill dog had nowhere to go for help, and presumably it had crawled under the vehicle to die. He certainly looked dead, and the dog's rescuers weren't the only ones who thought so. Flies covered the puppy's body as if they thought it was already dead, read a statement on AAU's official website. You can understand then why the team thought they'd arrived too late. But our rescue team found that this puppy's heart was still beating, read a caption on AAU's YouTube video about the dog. And while the heartbeat was faint, the little fighter was definitely not dead yet. So one of the rescuers gently wrapped the dog up in a blanket and carried him to the ambulance. Obviously in desperate need of care, the little dog, now named Oliver, was sped to AAU's hospital. Still, they barely made it in time. Although they'd found Oliver before he had passed, his prognosis was not good. His life hung in the balance. At that point, we truly did not believe he would survive, Animal Aid wrote. But as we do with all our rescues, we wanted to give him a chance. But Oliver's body was dangerously cold, and he was severely dehydrated from his life on the streets. Animal Aid Unlimited staff did everything they could for Oliver. For instance, they used hot water bottles to warm the puppy's stone-cold body, and they attempted to rehydrate him with IV fluids. Then, even though the doctors thought the dog was done for, a miracle happened. Within an hour, this gentle little spirit amazed us, the organization wrote. After receiving fluids for an hour, he started to look around. Suddenly, his carers felt hope. After all, the plucky puppy just kept on astounding the AAU staff. Later that same day, Oliver began trying to stand on his own, Animal Aid's recovery video reported. And while he didn't have the strength to support his own weight fully, he was at least no longer alone. Yes, rescuers were there to help lend him a hand. After Oliver's condition had stabilized a little, doctors were able to make a diagnosis on the young pup. Sadly, it wasn't good news. We diagnosed his illness as a severe respiratory infection, AAU said. His condition was serious and recovery couldn't be guaranteed. Animal Aid described the infection as raging, and its staff treated it at the first opportunity. In fact, doctors prescribed the little puppy a course of antibiotics in an effort to fight off the illness. Even with treatment, though, Oliver's road to recovery would be a long one. As it turned out, it took 8 weeks for Oliver to fight off the infection. Throughout his battle with the illness, his survival expectations were touch and go. During the 2 months that followed, his condition would improve but then decline, AAU explained. But the puppy had already beaten the odds so far. Thankfully, the plucky pooch was a survivor. After a lengthy battle with his infection, he amazed the charity with his ability to bounce back from what looked like a death sentence. Indeed, Oliver's turnaround was nothing short of astonishing. Now he's fully recovered and a happy little fur baby with as much energy as any other healthy puppy. Indeed, seeing him bounce around, showering his rescuers with affection and kisses, is heart-melting. Yes, it's hard to believe he's even the same dog. Animal Aid uploaded Oliver's rescue to YouTube, where it's touched so many hearts online. It's received over 1,942,000 views to date, with over 26,000 upvotes. One social media user summed it up nicely. "This is so heartbreaking, but again, so hopeful." According to Animal Aid Unlimited India, the organization saves countless animals on a daily basis. And thanks to it and the support it receives from the public, Oliver had a chance at a new life. After all, every animal deserves to know what it's like to be loved.